Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aunt Nancy's Story Time. This is Storyville, and I am Aunt Nancy. Have you ever wondered why the sky is called the sky, the earth is called the earth, the wind is called the wind, the tree is called... Well, you understand. Why and how things get their origins. Did you know there are stories that tell us how things came to be? Well, today, I am going to tell you the story of how Anansi gave the world wisdom. Anansi the spider, he's a distant cousin of mine, was sunning himself in the sun one day when he said, I would like to be wise. I am clever, but I am not wise. And everyone knew that Anansi was clever, but not as wise. So Anansi decided he would go around to his neighbors and ask for a bit of wisdom. But he needed something to keep his wisdom in. So he looked far and wide and wide and far until he spotted a pumpkin in the field. And he grabbed the biggest pumpkin and brought it home and cleaned it out and let it dry in the sun and turned it into a gourd. And he said, in this gourd, I will keep all of my wisdom. And he put the top on the gourd. Anansi went to each of his neighbors and asked nicely if they could spare a bit of wisdom. And his neighbors knew that Anansi was clever, but he was not wise, chuckled at their friend, and gave him some wisdom out of pity. Around he went collecting wisdom. Into his gourd, into his gourd, into his gourd, more wisdom. And his gourd grew larger and larger until it was full. Anansi then said, I must protect my wisdom. Someone will come and try to steal it. But where should I put my wisdom? And he looked far and wide and wide and far and up and down until he spotted the tallest boba tree in the village. And Anansi said, I will take my wisdom there. He took his wisdom in the large gourd and put it on his belly. He grabbed a vine and tied the gourd to himself, and he began his climb. Oh, 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 oh. Becoming frustrated at his lack of progress, Anansi gave up and sat and pondered for a while. While he was pondering, his younger son swung by and sat beside him and said, Father, what are you doing? Well, Anansi said, I am taking my gourd of wisdom to the top of this boba tree, but it has proven quite difficult. Anansi's young son looked at his father and said, Well, father, if you take the gourd from your stomach and tie it to your back, your climbing should be much easier. Anansi looked at his son and said, Away with you, boy. And once the boy was off at a far distance, Anansi untied his gourd and moved it from his stomach to his back and tied it again and began his climb. Up and up and up till he reached the top of the boba tree. Anansi sat on the boba tree looking from his left to right and said to himself, I went around to my neighbors collecting bits of wisdom, and it is full in this gourd. And yet my younger son is still wiser than I. And in his frustration, Anansi lifted the top of the gourd and shook the wisdom into the four winds. That is how Anansi gave the world wisdom.